Dire team ban.
Okay, so I don't know how long this other video is, so it's going to be shorter breaks, I think, because the WePlay one's not playing anymore.
Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Okay, last video.
Radiant team pick.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another beautiful casting job by Cinderin, and not so much so from Suns fan. This, of course, is the WePlay Bukovel Minor EU qualifiers, a rematch, in fact, of the lower bracket finals. Nigma, Team Nigma, that is, versus Team Singularity. Cinderin, have you had a good rest?
Dire team pick.
Yes, I am very refreshed. Well, it's weird because it's actually an hour and a half later than yesterday, but I wasn't tired yesterday. It's something about being old, I think.
Yeah.
As it looks like Singularity taking a page out of Team Nigma's book, Cinderin. Legion into Grimstroke.
Legion Commander seems to be rated very high by some of these teams. I think for good reason. Has a strong XP talent, strong in early fights, good laner. Hard to spell. It's just a well-rounded hero right now that has a lot of good stuff going for it when it comes to the early mid game. And as we've seen in the majority of our games, they are more or less decided by 30 minutes. So, yeah, solid pickup. The Rubik for Nigma has been working really well, so they're going to grab that again. One of the heroes that they always grab for GH. And
Radiant team ban.
Vengeful spirits.
my favorite the majority of the time. So we'll see if Singularity have upped their game today or if Nigma will just clean the floor with them again.
Well, both games, if memory serves me correctly, Cinderman, Team Nigma, they started off pretty slow in both games and then suddenly just won. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like in all of their wins, actually, even though they did end up going to the lower bracket.
I feel like maybe my assessment is a little bit wrong because stomps are strange, right?
Dire team ban. Dire team pick. Radiant team pick.
Deceptively close.
Define what we consider a close game, because what most people consider close, right, is that the teams go neck and neck, it goes late game, and some really big team fight decides everything. But yesterday was like, it goes to mid game, and then one team fight just ends the whole thing. So I don't know if that's a stomp nowadays. It seems a bit too common to maybe consider that a stomp anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still just over a week with this patch, right? So things can obviously evolve very quickly. We're going to see a Terrorblade here picked up for Singularity. How does Reflection work with Venge's new aura? I'm guessing Terrorblade and his allies get the range attack, so. Right?
Yep.
That's pretty cool for a Terrorblade.
And I think this pickup from Singularity is half a deny pick, because they know Miracle plays this hero for Nigma, and they know how good it is with Venge. And like you said, it's good against Venge for similar reasons. So I think it's pretty clever. Terrorblade has been looking pretty good in a lot of the games that have been running lately in Europe. And also in, I think, SA, the hero had a couple of wins last night. And I think partly because, in part due to the style of the game, right? Like all this fighting, Terrorblade gets maybe one item, he joins, he can join with Metamorphosis, he can push towers, he can take objectives. And if it is the kind of game where you play 4 heroes fighting and one guy farming for a while, Terrorblade gets massive value out of it. He just farms faster than almost any hero in the game. So we saw Miracle do that yesterday.
Yep, we saw a whole lot of Miracle yesterday. And honestly, it's weird, though, because the 4 Protect 1 was working so well for them, and then it just didn't in their last series. And it felt... I mean, I know this 4 Protect 1 is kind of like this very old school strategy. It's like the original strategy from Dota 1, really. That was the most prevalent thing back in the day. But it looked outdated, but then at times it worked. And I think Anti-Mage was just not in hindsight, it was just too slow still, as opposed to other heroes that can actually help out in the fights in the mid game. Would you agree with that?
It's kind of hard to put your finger on it, because I think in the games that Nigma lost, they kind of...
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Tinker!
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
It might be just, it's a feeling thing where if you're feeling a power spike and a timing relative to the last patch, it might just not work here. The timing might be off, and the enemy team might be stronger than you expect. I think they got surprised by how much damage Drow did.
I wasn't surprised at all, just saying.
But yeah, new day.
One thing I do like about this Nigma lineup is Centaur, believe it or not. As much as I've been hating on Centaur lately, great counter to Soulbind is actually Stampede.
True.
You can just counteract that completely. That's, of course, assuming that nothing else has been put on top of them, like a double duel, which is a possibility for Singularity. We did see this quote-unquote combo yesterday, but that interaction did not come into play. So it feels maybe a little bit more niche, or niche, as you like to say, and most people in the world. we had this conversation. It's technically both, but people just
I didn't correct
me to be wrong. I know. Well, to be fair, you don't usually correct me, so you just let me fail miserably. Yeah. Over and over again.
That's fun too. So let's I feel like we haven't talked enough about this Tinker pick, because this hero hasn't been played as much in the last many months as it used to in previous years. Tinker has kind of fallen out of favor, but has received some buffs, and perhaps the tempo of the game is good for him here. If you build Tinker in a specific way, you can get relatively active early on for fighting. With a lot of points in laser and rockets, you can do a lot of damage. I don't think you will see a 4-4-0 build. Tinker still needs to farm with March, but there is at least the possibility of protecting objectives, fighting for outposts with Tinker connecting. Boots of Travel should be really nice. And now finally we get a Weeha Ursa, who has also been buffed quite a bit. Now Earthshock gives you a little bit of a jump, so you don't need to buy Dagger necessarily. And since Abyssal Blade now gives you a Blink Strike...
That's true. He can blink in 2 different ways, kind of like mini tiny. They're not that long range, right?
The Abyssal is 600 range instant, I think. That's pretty long.
Okay, 600 is pretty good. Earthshock is just like a little baby jump.
It's like 250 or something.
It definitely does not replace Blink.
No, it's not the same thing. But if you have something that's like pseudo Blink, you can easily make a case for spending that 2k gold on something else, like a Basher. Mm-hmm. And even before these items, before the changes of this patch, in the previous patch, there were Ursa builds that didn't go Blink until like 3rd or 4th item. There were people buying Phase Drums, Basher, and then Dagger. Or even in some cases, Face, Drums, Basher, BKB, and then Dagger. So there's definitely something to be said about skipping Blink. It is what it is, right? The item does nothing except position you. So in terms of just raw damage output, getting a Basher into Abyssal might be much better in some situations. last pick was Zeus, by the way. Let's just
yes,
cover
Zeus.
that too.
Not much needs to be said about that pile of garbage, right? Same hero as always. Gets a Aghanim Scepter at some point, and Nimbus just shits on everybody. Of course, it is really good against Tinker.
Yes.
Should mention that.
Great against Tinker.
Always hides in the trees, and
I think Zeus can also be good against Ursa. It's a little... it's a kind of awkward matchup where if Ursa gets the jump on Zeus, you just die. But later in the game, if Ursa doesn't have BKB, like you pointed out, if you have the Nimbus and you have the stun talent on Lightning Bolt on level 20, these stuns and this like constant slowing down of Ursa can be really annoying. And you can force him to enrage really early on in fights too, because of your insane burst. So he can't really play around it the way he wants necessarily.
Mind Control got some stacks of Retaliate at the tower, which is, you know, pretty common thing. My question is, how many do you stay for? Why did he only stay for 3?
Because
you don't have time to go back to base?
If you take 3, you will have pretty much exactly full health when the creep waves meet.
I see. So it's just more of a base regen type thing.
Yeah. If you look at him now, he's regenerating 3 per second, so in 40 seconds he'll be full health, and in 40 seconds it's 25 seconds. So that means the waves.
Their math is just out of this world.
Pretty
I
perfect.
can't even believe it.
Yeah.
Well, they know, of course, he does have Retaliate, so he can't really contest this bounty rune. I mean, he can just walk up to it, I suppose.
Just be a little annoying to DNZ here.
Know your place.
And it's going to be a split of bounties. By the way, I wanted to mention, I really like the changes to this patch in terms of giving these heroes that pretty much have had to buy Blink Dagger every single game and giving them an option not to do so, right? You talked about Ursa. I mean, it's again, it doesn't replace it entirely, but just the idea of having a little bit more mobility on a hero like that. And Sven as well, who's the biggest kiting hero of all time. And Magnus, which we haven't really seen that much of, surprisingly, in this specific qualifiers, despite being you and I both thinking his Aghanim is being completely overpowered. The point I'm trying to get to, Cinderin, is that Centaur's next on the list. Stampede does not count as a mobility, okay?
Oh,
That's
okay.
a team mobility. He needs Hoof Stomp needs to have something attached to it, or Double Edge.
I think Hoof Stomp should be changed to work like Earthshaker Ags, so you can just click on the ground where you want to jump over and stomp.
Yep, I totally agree. 100%.
That's what Centaur needs. Yeah.
Agreed. Who do you like in this mid lane? All things considered equal, just hero versus hero, Zeus, Tinker.
I think in the first 2 levels, Tinker is favored, but then when Zeus gets Lightning Bolt level 2, he can start harassing very hard. And it looks like Miracle is taking some advantage here in the beginning. Don't know if the choice of going... it's probably still better to go Lightning Bolt. It actually only costs 10 more mana than Arc Lightning by now, so... Deals more damage to the single target you want to CS, so that's looks fine.
Miracle's salving up now. A tried old and true matchup, Zeus versus Tinker. Looking forward to... I feel like they counter each other in some ways, depending on the game state. But looking forward to that Nimbus for sure. Do you think that... I know Weehaw very well, but the rest of the players I just know from kind of afar. Do you think yesterday's loss was a wake-up call, or do you think they kind of brushed it off? Do you think that they were maybe a little overconfident yesterday? And again, not to take anything away from Vikings because they played really well, but
I don't think they were overconfident. I just think they still need more time to adjust to the patch. And something we didn't notice or mention in this game, rather, is that they chose to put Miracle mid. We didn't even talk about that. It's Miracle playing the Tinker and Weeha's playing Ursa. So... maybe that's what they think the adjustment needs to be. Perhaps, like what you talked about yesterday, compensating for Weeha's arguably biggest weakness, which is his laning stage. I don't know if I would fully agree with that, but it definitely seems like he's probably not as good a laner as Miracle is. I think that's probably fair to say.
Looks like
other things
Kuroki actually gets first blood in first before the Ursa goes down. And Hesta Joe's actually going to be chasing Kuroki here. Only 60 HP. Can Kuroki juke? Going to be a couple right clicks, and Hesta Joe will finally get that last hit. Weehaw, in the meantime, jumping up ahead a little bit. Just a couple more right clicks to go. The kinetic field will be enough to save good old Hesta Joe. So a 2 for 1, but first blood still goes the way of Team Nigma.
I went to the Venge. I think you're overall pretty happy with that as Singularity. You have enough regen on you to still stand your ground here. They had an extra salve. The Disruptor currently sitting on 7 mangoes. So he can keep spamming his spells, that's for sure.
This is such a hilarious spell to look at now. With this this Earth Shock jump.
I need to play Ursa. It looks so fun to play.
Yeah, he's been pretty much like stagnant as a hero, I feel like, for a very long time, other than that one change to his ult a long time ago. But very one-dimensional in a lot of ways, but I feel like this really spices things up for sure. But yeah, going back to your point about Weehaw playing the Ursa, I mean, when I say he has a weak laning stage, this was at TI 6, so
right.
I really don't know how much has changed. He's obviously everybody's gotten better over time. But you're right, Miracle has got to be one of the best laners in the entire world. Weehaw's going to get initiated on inside the kinetic field. Heads to Joe. Looks like he'll get that kill, and Kuroki's
totally underestimating the enemy team in this lane. They're just diving into the tower against Disruptor Legion Commander, and that's fortunately for Kuro.
Gets killed by the neutral creep.
If you're playing Ursa and you're losing your lane to Legion like this, that is not a good look. It obviously depends on the supports as well, right? Like the Venge 5 is not the strongest support partner you can have in the beginning in this lane. And they are facing a pretty strong lane, but similar to what we talked about with yesterday, I feel like they're kind of choosing a lot of their deaths themselves on just over-aggression instead of respecting the power of the enemy lane. Bounty rune time.
Maybe part of that is just what we talked about, getting used to the patch and whatnot. Perhaps overestimating the heroes or underestimating the heroes of the other Legion Commander was not changed at all, as far as I can remember.
Getting a lot of damage in mid.
This is going to be close, but Miracle with that DD rune doing complete work in this mid lane. 27-10 to 16-2, not even remotely close.
Yeah, I don't think this lane is this Tinker favorite, but Miracle has probably just outplayed Excalibur here. Even getting the the kill as well.
Down to the Thunderstrike, my goodness. Of course, Thunderstrike was changed recently to provide a attack speed slow and a move speed slow, I believe, but it's only lasts 1.1 seconds, I want to say.
It's like a micro purge.
It's noticeable though. Like when I first read it, I'm like, eh. But then when you see it, like, actually, that's considering it procs so many times, especially with, I believe he has a talent as well to get extra procs for it. Yeah, about 20. Although, how can you pass up 180 gold per minute? I don't know.
You take GPM every time, so you can get your axe.
Yeah. Excalibur bottles a regen rune. He is 1 level behind Miracle at the moment. And GH is actually in the enemy jungle. Can't get the neutral items yet. That starts occurring at 7 minutes. Weehaw and Kuroki looking to get aggressive on Hesta Joe, but mid lane looks to be the real action-packed area right now. As Miracle, with help from GH, looks like they're going to be able to get to Excalibur. No, it's going to be really close. But Miracle goes down first. Zeus actually lives, and the glimpse back, GH will fall as well. This required Zitrax on the Terrorblade and pretty much the entirety of the team, other than Legion Commander, in that mid lane.
It is going to cost them quite a lot to do this, as Mind Control will be banging on the top tower with 11 stacks on Retaliate, so you save your Zeus and you get 2 kills, which is really good, but if they lose this tower, I don't think it was worth it. Somebody has to defend. You see the spam pings coming out from DNZ, but since everybody TP'd for that more or less, nobody's here to be able to defend this, and I think the grand scheme of things, I think Nigma are pretty happy here. They got the full tower. Okay, Mind Control. Might want to hit it, buddy.
That was it. He just looked at it. I'm going to watch your tower fall. That's how fucking badass I am. What is a timing? Oh, it looks like we might have some action in the bot lane. Thunderstrike onto Weehaw. Glimpse is not available for another 5 seconds. Actually has 2 levels in that right now. But Hesta Joe doing quite well in this lane. Might even chase Weehaw. So at half HP at the moment. There's going to be TP support in the form of GH. Weehaw's going to turn the aggression now. Stampede is popped, and the kinetic field is beautifully placed. Weehaw taking additional damage from the Thunderstrike, attempting to get out with that Earth Shock. Smoke was popped for whatever reason, but they're going to find the Weehaw kill first. Kuroki gets dueled. Do they have enough to actually kill him for the damage? Doesn't look to be the case. But I do believe that he will fall one way or the other. Although there is some TP coming in from our Centaur boy.
Just nuke
Kuroki.
Just nuke him.
Yeah, overwhelming hunt is available, saving that for the creeps here. Mind Control gets a double hoof stomp, but the Inkswell does delay the damage coming out. And finally, Team Nigma will find at least one kill on the deny on the tier 1 bot.
Yep. So trade-off there in terms of towers. Now both teams lost the safe lane tower, but obviously Nigma getting the deny. In this patch, let's remember, that splits the gold, right? So Nigma got half the gold of their own tower, and half the gold went to Singularity, whereas in the previous patch, all of the gold just disappears.
Another nice quality of life change, I feel. It felt really bad as the enemy team getting your tower denied. Good lord.
Yeah.
Top lane.
Top lane. GH is definitely dead. The question is how much he can...
How much dead is he? That's the real question, Cinderin.
Oh, meta for
We're gonna
that.
pop meta.
I guess he wants to hit the tower then.
Trusty shovel picked up by Miracle, it looks like. As Mind Control will pick it up. I hear a duel. It's going to be on Ursa, and Weeha dies again. Maybe he got Glimpse. No, Glimpse is off cooldown. I'm not sure what he's doing on the other side of the river, but that is quite a few deaths for our boy Weeha. Kuroki, in the meantime, press the attack, taking off the magic missile. And that is going to be yet another kill for Singularity. 11 to 4 in their advantage. They don't really have a huge net worth lead. It's only about... It's less than 1,000 right now.
Yeah. But the issue here is how bad Ursa's game is, I think, because the gold difference is one thing. The Radiant supports are richer than the Dire ones, and that's why the gold looks even. But Ursa's game is bad, and this hero is notoriously not good at playing from behind. It's a very snowbally by nature hero, and yeah, he's got trouble. The good news for Nigma, though, is Tinker is having a fantastic time, and this hero counters Terrorblade very well. The primary reason they picked the hero this game is, of course, that Terrorblade. But he will have problems on his own dealing with both Zeus and Disruptor. Actually, Glimpse can be quite problematic for Tinker in multiple ways.
Yeah, they have a lot of ways.
They're doing a smoke here. Zitrax.
Triple smoke. Zitrax doesn't have meta. Does have Sunder, though. You can see the ult come out from the Grimstroke, and they're just going to turn this around completely as Weeha, I believe. I want to say that's his 5th death. We'll check here in a second. Kuroki's going to get glimpsed back into Death's arms. Question is, who's going to get the last hit? It's going to be Grimstroke this time around. And Weeha has died 6 times. Whew. Yeah. Really rough start. And that was in the safe lane. It's not like it was a mid.
Yeah, they feel like they need to force these moves, I guess because the Terrorblade is farming so much, they feel the pressure of needing to invade. But I don't think you want to do that without your Centaur. I think he's the one who needs to frontline, and he needs to get... They're so close to a strong timing here. Mind Control almost has a pipe, and that's a big difference maker in these fights. And they're fighting without him. Oh, Weeha's game, man. Oh, no.
Yeah, that glimpse is... Oh, God. At least he has the cowboy hat, though. That's the most important thing. Now, I don't believe, and I could be wrong on this, I don't believe Earthshock will be able to cancel. It's not like a... Can you blink out of glimpse? You know, if you time it correctly? No kind of blinks?
No.
Okay, so never mind. Only Manta, like a very, very tight timing?
Yeah, you can invulnerability dodge it, right? I think that's it. So Manta style, Phantasm, Mirror Image. Within the transformation time, you can do it. Those are the only things. And of course, Magic Immunity here.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about this Ursa build? Like, I'm not convinced that you can build Ursa like this and be happy with it in most cases, because
he likes
maybe I don't think he can sustain the mana to use it for farming, and now he doesn't have overpower, which could have probably helped him a lot in the laning stage. In these fights that they chose to take, I think a 1-1-1 build might have been a lot better than 2-0-1 that he went for. Getting those 4 extra hits would have been...
I have yet to see an Ursa in this patch. Like, how does this scale now, Earthshock? Does the blink...
Lower cooldown, much stronger slow, and a bit of damage. I'm not sold here. It's easy to say that when he's 0-6, right? Then anything can look bad. But maybe he feels forced to do it now, just to try to ramp himself back up, and he will buy Clarities to have the non-stop mana flow and just farm with Earthshock. Maybe that's what he's going for. But again, the hero is snowbally, and if you lose your lane, you're not happy.
Oh, he's running away this time. Glimpse brings him back into the kinetic field and static storm. Nice swap, though, from Kuroki. He's going to be the first to fall. Nice sacrifice for him. Excalibur might be next on the list, though. It's a 1-for-1.
Oh, he lost the duel to Ursa.
And the damage goes to Ursa. Much needed for Weehaw as the chase is now on. Stampede has already been expended. Weehaw able to get through the kinetic field. Urshok into that Grimstroke. And just like that, Weehaw gets a triple kill. You talking shit, Cinderin? About that build? Huh? Triple kill.
Was that the build doing it, though?
His team helped quite a bit.
He needed that so badly. I think he's been planning for this from minute 0. He's like, I'm gonna make Legion think Legion can win a duel against me, and then I'll get 10 free damage for the rest of the game.
LOL. Kuroki, oh, it's gonna get canceled here.
He is in trouble.
And Excalibur. Well, Tinker's here for some support. Mind control as well.
Zeusult would kill right now, right? Why is he holding it? I think that was a kill.
Is it still a kill? No.
250 plus 6% of current health. That would have been like, yeah, he would. Kuro was flat out dead if they Zeus ulted after the press.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Miscommunication, perhaps.
The next fight does have a keen optic. Pretty solid item for
super good on Zeus.
The Zeus.
Yeah, really good.
Blink Dagger still being worked on for Hesta Joe. I'm actually a little bit surprised at his lack of farm, honestly, based on how this game has been going. I feel like did they not crush bottom as hard as we thought? Because his farm is...
He just doesn't have that many
impressive.
CS. That's the problem. Like, he has 4 kills, but only 44 CS to the 70 of Ursa. They've been kind of brawling non-stop, but you can't give up completely on hitting creeps. I don't think you just only let Terrorblade farm, right? Like, look at the CS numbers for both teams. These dire numbers don't look good, except for Terrorblade. In a 15-minute game, that's very low on the other 2 cores. So...
You don't see that too often in a game that, I mean, Team Nigma has, well, they just had a 2K lead, now it's 1K, but based on how this game has gone, I think they're going to be super happy. Based on the fact that it is 7-15 and you are leading with that deficit. Pretty nice.
That's always easy for us to say, but do they feel it in the game?
Right.
I think that's kind of an overlooked aspect a lot of the time where... Casters will be like, why aren't they just pushing?
Is enough.
That's a good kill.
With the laser, that is a huge kill. As Zitrax has to go back to the fountain.
I think that kill gives them confidence. If you put them on the spot right now, you pause the game and ask them, what do you think the gold status is? I don't think Nigma thinks they're ahead on gold. Maybe they do. Maybe they have a different read, but in this position and how the laning stage went and the number of towers down, I wouldn't be surprised if they think they're trailing a little bit. At least if you notice their early plays in the enemy jungle, right, where they smoked in as 3, it looked like we need to get something done here. We're in trouble. That was the kind of smoke that looked like to me. But they were actually pretty stable. They were okay. Yes. There's a lot of... How to say, when you observe games, there's a lot of information that is not available to the players. Sometimes you'll be like, the way they move on the map doesn't make sense, but you always have to remember they only see their own fog. And when they make calls on whether to fight or not, they don't know if the enemy team has buybacks, they don't know the gold status, they don't know if enemy team's close to items. All of it is just feel in the game. And sometimes you don't feel the right thing. So... Well,
Weehaw was not feeling it early, but now he is. Has the Basher ready to go. So we'll see how effective this build is going to end up being. Of course, now does have 1 level of overpower. So the Zeus ult has been primarily used as a scouting device, which has been pretty effective overall. They stopped a couple smokes, or at least 1 at this point. But Miracle doing miracle things in the fact that he is top of net worth and by a very sizable margin.
Yep. He was involved on the Terrorblade kill and he got the last hit, so that's a really big swing. With the core he's competing against dying and him getting the kill, it's a big relative change. Getting those 40 seconds of free farming time as well. So, yeah, Miracle's game's looking great, and the question now is, will Singularity be ready to deal with this Tinker? It looks like Excalibur is going for Yules first before Ags. I don't know if I like that here, because, again, we've talked a lot about tempo in this patch, and it feels like you will need this Ags flat out to win the game. You will probably need this item. And then do you think you can win the game at that stage, or will you get overrun by Tinker's timing that's coming pretty soon?
Dire's top tower is
Oh,
under
Miracle
attack.
got Pupil's Gift. This item is incredible on Ursa. I really think you should pass it over. Strength and intelligence on Ursa is amazing.
Weehaw has Essence Ring, which I don't think is a good item on Ursa. Takes up half his mana pool to use, essentially. They're going to smoke up.
They're going to give it to Kuro for now. The gift.
Okay.
I think he and Weehaw should swap items, but maybe the mono regen feels really nice for Ursa too. So
I guess with Pupil's Gift, he could use Essence Ring with no issue. That extra mana capacity. Well, they smoke up just to ward. It doesn't look like they're actually going to pursue any action here. They're happy just farming. Of course, with Miracle having all these items at this moment, can just be all over the map, as is the case with pretty much any Tinker that has top net worth. What do you think of like the late game perspective from both sides here? Tinker versus Terrorblade. Tinker would have to get, I assume, would get Ags at some point to fight this Terrorblade once he gets pretty big. What's that?
he will get Ags eventually, yeah. I think the Dagon choice is probably better, though. Again, the flow of the game right now, there will be some serious bursting fights coming up in the next 5 minutes, and I don't think the Ags is necessary to deal with Terrorblade yet. His illusions will not be that big of a problem. They have a lot of AoE damage to clean them up. It'll be problematic when he gets a Scotty on Terrorblade, but for now he can go for Dagon, build up for the single target burst. Flat out who I favor later? I think it's honestly kind of hard to say. Terrorblade's always that kind of late game wild card who can just win seemingly every game under the right conditions. Oh, they found it. GH, he's very dead.
They sure did. And this is at close to the 20-minute mark, so they will be getting this bottom outpost. The top is controlled by Team Nigma, so it'll be a trade of sorts. 5v4 if they actually want to fight here. Zitrak still has his metamorphosis. Stunk's going to start off into a double edge, into a magic missile. He's going to get close. Sunder keeps him healthy for a little bit longer, but he dies shortly after. Soulbind has been commenced, or has been used onto Weehaw and company, but they're relatively healthy. Of course, they lost the Rubik before that fight, so the only thing they've lost is their position 5 Kuroki.
There is so much damage coming out of the Radiant right now. He got his Sunder off and he still died to 3 heroes.
Yeah, well, Sunder got him to half HP, to be fair.
Yeah, did he have a good Sunder target outside of the one he chose? Or, I mean, he was full panic mode. He was 5% HP. He had to Sunder whatever he could reach.
Yeah.
But I think he got surprised by how quickly they could burst him down. This huge magic damage from Centaur Tinker combined almost blew him up. I think that was a Dagon reveal, or did he just buy that now?
I'm not sure.
That is definitely a surprise, right? You get that extra 400 magic damage nuke that you didn't account for coming out of nowhere.
Right.
If that was online there. But now they definitely know it, because he just Dagoned Hestejo top. If it was a reveal, then Singularity are now aware.
Kuroki's going to continue to hold on to this Pupil's Gift thus far into the game.
Why are the vampire fangs on Disruptor?
What? Is it for the night vision?
Well, anybody has night vision. Don't you give these to a core? It's a really good core item. Spell, lifesteal,
Night vision
and
with
lifesteal.
It's the only thing I can think of.
I think it's very true, I guess. The night vision glimpse is nice.
It's only 250. Is that really... That feels like it's not a huge amount.
Everything adds up. But I think the lifesteals are largely wasted on this hero. Like, Spell, Lifesteal, and Zeus can be really good because he does so much damage, he can actually stay alive. It can be the difference maker. And for Terrorblade, regular Lifesteal is also amazing. And on LC, it's a bit of both, right? He uses both damage types.
If you're running out of inventory slots, it would make a little bit more sense, I suppose. But it's still relatively early on. I mean, would you take that over... I mean, obviously over No Talisman, but over Keen Optic is the question. Is a 75 cast range, 1 mana regen better? For Zeus specifically right now.
He had an empty slot before. I think the Vampire Fangs are better than a Staff of Wizardry. Or a Null. So, he doesn't have slot issues right now, right? Because I would say the Optic is better than at least a Null.
He is going for Ags now, by the way, so did finish the Yules. I mean, he'll have this at relatively okay timing. It's not like they're going to lose unless... Well, I shouldn't say that. Last time we cast this team...
Like, oh man, this is going great. 5 minutes later...
The
whole world is
they're down by
burning.
4k, so that's maybe a good sign for Singularity. That means they will not lose this time.
What do you know? Very hard to predict, I would say.
I'm so confused by this. Like, he never has mana.
Well, it gives a lot of mana regen. He needs the
Yeah,
mana
but
regen to farm with
200
Earthshock.
mana?
He's not using
I
the
see.
active. He just wants the
Okay,
passive
gotcha.
components of it.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think it's
I
actually
guess
helped
the
him
mana
farm quite
regen
a
is
bit.
actually, even if 2.5 is decent,
He has a
for
talent
here
that
with
gives
such
3 as
little...
well.
Oh, wow.
Spam his
Yeah,
spells with this. That's nice.
That is pretty dirty, actually.
To the radiant.
Well, unfortunately for Singularity, they were not able to find anybody here. And, of course, the Aegis going to Weehaw himself. Well, looks like we're going to have a Stampede initiation. Kuro in a little bit of trouble. Swaps out. Zitrax pops the BKB Soulbind onto 2 into the double silence, actually. And it looks like this Disruptor ult was also used, but only on the Rubik as Weehaw attempting to get out of dodge. It's a 1-for-0 right now. Make that 2. Weehaw pops his BKB. I believe it's a 10-second one. Legion Commander gets a duel off. Will they be able to get the actual kill? It doesn't look like it's going to be the case, but it's a double kill regardless for Zitrax. A little bit delayed. Weehaw on the run. Pops his Essence Ring. I was completely wrong about this item. Mind control now.
Weird spot.
Sees the Disruptor. See if they can actually find this kill or not. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. But Mind Control might be in some trouble, though. Excalibur's here. And yeah, this will be an easy cleanup for Singularity. So a 4-for-1.
All right, he's getting out. He has haste turn.
Too good. Your failure lives on.
All right. Well,
That was
you were
pretty
right.
one-sided
Singularity
fight.
are behind, so they're going to get an amazing fight out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It seems to me that whenever Nigma try to make an offensive maneuver into the enemy jungle, it gets punished. They basically forced a fight onto the enemy shrine, and even though they have this Ursa Aegis, they couldn't really get on top of the heroes the way they wanted. They swapped the Terrorblade. I think the BKB was fresh, so maybe they were not aware that Zitrax could pop that on the swap. And they got punished in a big way with these TPs coming in on the shrine and then just overwhelming them with all their spell damage so far. So,
And that's without Ags on Zeus, Cinderin. Just wait until that happens, my friend.
do you know if the Nimbus Lightning Strike on... I'm assuming the Nimbus Strike on Soulbind also does 2 bolts.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think so. I would say no, actually, but I don't know for sure. That's a good...
What is the
that's a good
wording on
Mythbuster.
Soulbind? Isn't it just all single target spells? Any auto-targeted
Dire's top
ability...
tower is under attack.
Oh, sorry, any unit-targeted ability that either bound hero receives also gets cast on the other hero. Is that a unit-targeted? I mean, it's ground cast, right? Kind of. I don't know. It's kind of a...
I mean, the question is Zeus, is the Nimbus literally the same as Lightning Bolt? Is it exactly the same? Because if it is, then yes, it would have proc twice. But for some reason, I doubt that's how it works. But who knows? Nimbus is pretty fucking OP.
Dire's
So-
top tower is under attack.
I mean, it's
It's
probably
not
the
that
best
broken.
thing that's ever been added to Zeus in his history in Dota. Would you disagree with that, Cinderin? Don't you dare disagree. It's an amazing
If you go
item.
back to Dota 1 history, I think Static Field was a really big upgrade. That's like
I only remember him with
15,
Static
15
Field.
years ago, maybe. That was a pretty big buff. Back in my day.
Nice flex.
You're older than me. I can't even use that one.
Well, you were playing Dota before me, slightly. Only probably like by
true.
a year, I would say.
Yeah.
If even that. I
think I started in
Joe getting chased by
2000.
Weehaw. He's going in real deep here. He has Aegis. He's taunting now. Playing the chamber.
BKBing that?
Gonna
Nope.
get a glimpse. He does have BKB. He might just expend the Aegis right here, right now. Pops his ult now, though. And it's going to potentially cost Kuroki his life. He's stuck inside the kinetic field. Singularity is really hesitant. Like, what is going on? What kind of a fight is this? And there's the Aegis that we have wanted to get.
For lack of a better word, this feels so forced. Like, that is insanely forced.
It's so weird.
They're just running circles between the towers. His team were not really close by. Like, I'm just confused. There might be something going on here that I just don't understand, but to me this looks... I don't know.
No, he picks
I
up.
don't know what the right word is for that.
Oh, Stampede initiation. Disruptor gets Yules. Mind control. Has the hook on.
Glimmer. Immediate purge on the dust as
Yeah,
well.
Disruptor's taking basically no damage. Kuroki is getting melted from Zitrax. Zitrax is going to change his targets completely. As the Zeus is the first to fall in this engagement, Weehaw pops that ult again with the BKB. They're able to find the Disruptor finally. So it's a 2-for-0 to start this fight. Zitrax still has a meta. Pops the BKB. Needs to get this Sunder off pretty soon here. Will get it off onto Weehaw, who's now on the retreat. retreat. They're going to find mind control, and that is a dual damage for Hesta Joe.
A damage.
And with that, that is a damage point.
He has won 46 duels. Very impressive performance.
Yes, he had. Oh my god. What did I miss? Weehawk apparently killing Grimstroke.
Crucial
Sure,
for the outcome of this fight. The big story here is that Zeus gets jumped and dies. They can't have that happen. If Excalibur gets caught, the fight gets so much harder. He is the biggest damage output their team has. And it's crucial that he gets to be saved and play in a good position. Right. Just got overwhelmed there. He doesn't have Force Staff, he doesn't have Ghost Scepter, and he doesn't have Aether Lens, so he can't really play on the range either with his build. And in that instance, at least, the Yules was not particularly helpful. And that's another thing that's really nice about having Nimbus, right? Because you feel way more impactful from a much bigger distance. So the temptation or the feeling of needing to commit isn't nearly the same. Like, you can have huge impact without even being in the fight. You know, you can stand.
I mean, you can
3K
cast
range
it and
away.
then die, and you have more impact than you already had, right?
Right. That's a pretty negative outlook, but also true.
It's the, yeah, why not? I mean, Excalibur level 19 right now, still about 1100 away from finishing that Nimbus. Looks like Scotty has now been picked up. God's gonna jump on top of Hesta Joe. Tasty
that
delight.
Ward. Yeah, the fact that they're allowed to have this ward here, Nigma, for the last 3 minutes is... That should not be allowed. You know, Singularity got their area back for a little bit, but they haven't been there to deward. And this hill needs to be covered. I think in this meta, these wards that overlook the shrines at your own jungle, now that there's more of them, you really need to cover especially the outward ones, I would say. The ones close to the river are just... Those ward spots are really powerful. They have a Zeus, you know, like... Okay, Stolen Thunder.
You guys probably saw that on the side of your screen.
Boy.
It's hard to catch these Tinker kills, let me tell you.
So GH came in with low HP, blinks under Terrorblade, and they Dagon him with Tinker. Instant.
Oh, that would happen? Oh,
he had a Stolen Thunder on Rubik.
I'm so sad I missed that one.
Now, that's a really big kill too. 50 seconds, no buyback on TB, so Nigma should be able to get something big out of this.
He still has Thunder for a bit more. He can do the same thing. Go die to creeps real quick, please. Tank that tower, GH. And he has the blink tag. This is like an instant type deal. That is crazy. What a terrible skill to give away if used correctly. Oh, the tier 2 tower looks to be dead in favor of Team Nigma. Mind Control has the Crimson Guard now. He's probably had that for quite a while. Miracle with the level 5 Dagon and is now going for, looks like to be a Bloodstone. And Weeha, newly picked up Abyssal Blade. They are just swimming in gold right now.
What a redemption story for Weeha. He was 061, now he's 664, and same net worth as Terrorblade all of a sudden. And it's just totally swung the game around.
His brother was playing the first 10 minutes of the game for him.
I think his dog.
I didn't want to go that far. Jesus Christ. Oh, Centaur initiated on. Swap is here. Hesta Joe has the duel available. Stampede is available as well. That's a double duel. Is he going to get smoked? He will. And he will get shredded shortly after. Actually, is living for now. Gets force staffed out. Weehawk getting slowed thanks to the Scotty on Zitrax. It's a 2 for 1, but the buyback on Grimstroke. And now Rubik, as Hesta Joe and company, completely decimating. Very nicely done. Miracle being the nuisance that he is. Oh, the silence not quite there in time. But a really good fight for Singularity.
Yeah, they didn't have the spells ready on Disruptor. If he has Glimpse there, they get the Tinker as well, or if he has Yules, but Miracle probably knew for a fact that Glimpse was just used with the way he was playing that fight.
82 damage now. That must have felt.
This is the thing about this patch that's really, it's like it's really exciting and in a way a little bit frustrating at the same time. It feels so difficult even when you're watching to read and predict what's happening next. So imagine playing in this game.
Yeah.
Like, everything is just so explosive and sudden, and you know, you could talk about how big of a lead Nigma have and what good position they're in on the map or whatnot, but if you get this ward out for Singularity and you get the jump like this, it seems to me that one of Nigma's biggest problems compared to the tier 1 teams that qualify to the major is playing the map, right? Like understanding the locations on the map that are good when and why, which is something historically they've been exceptionally good at, playing high grounds and invading territories. But they still seem to need to find their groove a little bit on how to put this pressure. It's hard to just put a finger on and say this is exactly what they're doing wrong, but clearly with the lead that they have, this fight should not be happening like this, right? At least as far as we know about Dota, but things have changed, so...
I mean, yeah, there's always room for evolution in our minds, Cinderin. For some of us, at least. Do you agree with this, now that you are seeing how this game is progressing? They finally took out this mango tree, by the way, good lord. The Tinker build. Do you think he's going to be going for Sheepstick now? But we talked about Ags. Is that needed soon, you think?
There's cases to be made for both. Like, the thing that's nice about Ags is that he can also blind the Legion Commander in duel. So he can, like, bounce from Legion to Terrorblade Illusions, which is really nice. The upside to the Hex is that he sets up his Ursa for success, right? He can catch any of the dire heroes, and Weeha can kind of pounce on that and they can just get easy kills. So I think both are good, and I don't really mind. My bigger question is if the Bloodstone is now a Tinker item that you get. Alright, Crow's gonna sacrifice himself here to get the Roche. I think that's completely fine. Giving information, distracting the enemy.
Oh, Weeha. 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 Okay.
You never know, man.
Sometimes I just wish I could be inside his mind for, like, some of these plays, just to understand, you know? Such genius behind these plays. Well, it's going to be 35 minutes here pretty soon. The Dire have, it looks like it's going to be another trade of outposts. Question is, who will get all the bounty runes?
Everything is a draw.
7k lead for Nigma right now. And they have the third eye on mind control.
What do you think Dota Plus considers the win percentage in this game?
You're asking me then, I don't know the key to actually check. Okay, I'm gonna say Team Nigma by 70%.
Okay, check it out.
F8. That's not the key for me. Okay, might have changed them at some point. Just tell me.
It's 50-50.
Oh. With a 7k lead. Is it because Terrorblade is a normal late game hero?
Might be Terrorblade Zeus against Tinker as well. Don't know. I was a bit surprised. I didn't think it would be considered this much or this even. But and the other thing is, has this algorithm been trained enough in the new patch, right? Because what it would have to hold up against would be the old version, right? So the numbers that it looks at are probably towers fallen, gold difference, what heroes are farmed, minute of the game, all of these things, and yeah. Also, something to keep in mind is Ursa generally does not fare too great when the game gets too long, right? So he's also probably a factor in this equation.
Yep, he falls off quite a bit. Looks like he's going for Nullifier, though. Prevent some of that item usage from coming out, like the Yules for Zeus or the BKB for Terrorblade. That's honestly game winning. If you can get this Abyssal Blade, and he has a blink as well, he's going to use it. But a very quick cloak there. Wow, why am I brain freezing on this? Glimmer Cape, cloak, same thing. Harry Potter. What is the thing from Harry Potter called? The three...
Deathly Hallows?
Deathly Hallows, yeah. That is one
Hallows,
of the Deathly Hallows.
not Hollows. Hollows is if you're empty inside. I know a lot about that, Shannon. It's a Hallow.
Radiant are scanning.
Your brain is hollow.
Wait, what is a Hallow, specifically?
Good question. Let's ask J.K. Rowling. Oh, Tinker's in trouble. Tinker's fucking dead.
And the duel to boot. But Weeha comes in and cleans up the Disruptor, and he gets the Abyssal Blade onto the Legion Commander. Was it worth a singularity? Maybe. I don't know, actually.
It's pretty even.
Tinker's dead.
They won a duel. They killed the richest hero. And they lost another core in a support. I think it's pretty even, I would say.
Deathly Hallows. I think I've been saying Hollows this whole time. I feel like that's a British pronunciation, Hollows.
It's spelled differently.
I know it's
It's
spelled.
two different words. It's like brooch and brooch. I've been calling it brooch the whole time. Well, you've been saying the wrong thing. What do you mean?
Well,
What do you
to
want?
be fair, these words are weird. Okay,
Yeah.
they're not normal words. Brooch. All right, give it to me. It'd be hilarious if it's not even a word. It was made specifically for. Is it really? That would be. Huh. But it's a verb. Interesting. Okay, but it's not a person, right? They're items. They're physical items. Now I'm confused. That's true. There's a lot of weird things in that book. Those books.
I don't know. It's a bit of a stretch.
Did you read the extent, the play, by the way, before we get into this next team fight, which will probably never happen?
Huh? Which play?
The Harry Potter
No.
the extension of the books?
No.
It's bad. Don't read it. It'll ruin your whole experience with Harry Potter. Don't do it, guys.
Okay.
Just a forewarning. Trust me, I have a really good taste.
Okay.
All right, Smoke by Singularity.
Trusting you immediately
we have
right now.
108 damage on this Legion commander.
Zeus has BKB.
Weehaw, his
Shannon.
age is just... What's that?
BKB on Zeus,
has
Shannon.
BKB, okay.
Zeus has BKB, Shannon.
Sounds good. Zeus is going to pop the ults, and Tinker dies immediately. Holy
the storm!
crap, that was fast.
Oh, that's a good
BKB
storm.
popped by Team Nigma. Nice hoof stomp onto one. Tinker's going to buy back in the game now. This could be a pretty big turnaround. As Zirac popped the BKB, Mind Control getting kited up. Or to use Stampede. Kuroki coming in, gets the swap. Mind Control looks to be dead to that last right click, but Weehaw jumps in, trying to take out Zitrax, and they will do so with the Dagon from Miracle.
A duel?
And now the duel coming in, and
Okay.
that is a Hesta Joe death. So Miracle, extra damage for you. Very useful on a Tinker, of course.
He can refresh the dual damage and get infinite damage.
That's incredible. And it was a 2 for 2 with one buyback.
Buyback on
Technically
Tinker
in
is
favor
big,
of Singularity. Yeah.
Yeah, but they get outpost control and they get the bounties. So I think if you're Nigma, you're still happy with this. But now you've got to pay attention to Miracle not dying. It's really important. And his deaths, let's not forget, he has Bloodstone. So he loses spell power every time he dies. These deaths on Tinker are actually pretty important. And what was really nice from Singularity there was they saw the opening on Tinker, and the moment they jumped him, they used Zeus ulti. So Centaur couldn't blink counter engage and couldn't Stampede save the way he wanted to do that. And they just cleared that up, and then they got a beautiful double Soulbind into Static Storm combo. The spellcasting from Singularity that fight was actually excellent. The only thing they didn't get off was the Sunder, and that would have probably won them the fight hands down.
A lot of disconnections here from both teams. Synchronized outage, it seems. Tinker, Miracle with 5k gold right now. Obviously, like you said, just bought back, so might as well spend it. I believe Sheepstick is going to be the next item of choice, most likely.
He might also,
By the way-
honestly, he might consider a BKB. He's,
Yeah, he
or a Lincoln's, because, oh, is he, oh, he is hovering a Lincoln's.
Oh,
okay,
it is a
'cause
Lincoln's. Yeah.
The duel is a problem. He really needs to not get caught. And Legion Commander has no way of breaking Lincolns. I think the Zeus Nimbus does not break Lincolns as well, does it? Man, I should know this stuff.
That, I mean, it blocks Thunderstrike, so that's just the question again, is it the same as Thunderstrike?
Thunderstrike is
obviously-
Disruptor's first spell, Shannon. Come on now.
Or, sorry, Lightning Bolt. I was literally having, I was highlighted on it and I still said Thunderstrike. I mean, it is a Thunder, let's be real. They're all the same, guys. Zeus can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's a god. But anyway, I'm going to say Lincoln's does block it, actually. But either way,
think
like,
so,
don't
too.
you just get a quick arc lightning into a duel? I mean, it's a little bit of a setup, obviously. but-
Exactly. The big difference there is that Zeus needs to be nearby. But if the Nimbus just breaks Lincoln's, he could set up Legion anywhere. They just communicate go, and he Nimbuses
Right.
in while the Legion's blinking in.
Well, the good news
So-
is Zeus has 463 move speed thanks to both the Yules and Boots of Travel, Synderin.
And move speed talent. He is fast.
Is it a 35 move speed talent? 30.
30, I think, yeah.
Speaking of talents, Miracle Level 25 heat-seeking missile mini stun has got to be a top 5 most annoying talents in the game. I should definitely make a list for this. As a tier 3 tower is now taking damage, GH is very deep in the base right now. My goodness. Miracle creating as much space as possible. Weehaw does not have Aegis.
Nigma needs to be careful
this
not to
tower
overstay
pretty much
here.
uncontested.
They're getting the tower and then they're getting the hell out of here. There's no way they stick around.
So now they can technically kill the shrines if they so choose so. Oh. Looks like they're going to get a glimpse on Kuroki, their usual target. It's pretty tanky, though. They're a little bit hesitant here. Hestajo wants to jump in. Inkswell, nice double ult here from Grimstroke. BKB bot, good lord. It's going to be a buyback on the Grimstroke, in fact. Vengeful Spirit dies as well, so technically a 1-for-1 buyback onto the Legion Commander who died. Mind Control, BKB is now over.
And that's a different fight if Terrorblade has meta. I think Singularity just call it what it is. Just like, alright, bad fight, get out, and cut their losses, because brute forcing that fight without meta might have cost them the game. I think this is a good back. The question is if they could have avoided this thing entirely until Terrorblade had meta again. Then it would have been very nice for them, of course.
Yeah, what is the reasoning for going in there? Because it was only like 20 seconds till it was back, and they initiated technically with a glimpse, right?
Yeah, maybe they thought they had a better, like, that the opening was better than it actually was. So you have to respect how much defensive capability Nigma have with Force Staff, Stampede, Pipe. Ursa obviously has his ulti and BKB. And the Centaur is a really bad target, but okay, we're gonna see.
Alright, Glimpse, Centaur. He's gonna be taking the brunt of the damage. Another Grimstroke, ult, Soulbind onto 2. We could have... I wasn't paying attention if the Thunderstrike actually hit twice there. Zitrax not able to actually find any target here. Looks like Soulbind was stolen by the Rubik. But no death will occur.
I don't know how good... It's pretty good double laser, double Deacon.
Ooh. Illusionist Cape. This is a Terrorblade item for sure.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, how good is it? It sounds good to me, but it doesn't really give stats, so I don't know how long you can actually hold it.
Increases outgoing damage of all units and illusions by 10%. So it's just a 10% bonus, right, on damage.
Yeah.
And then the one illusion you make is actually really tanky. Terrorblade's usual illusions take 320%, and the illusionist cape one takes 150. So, and it does almost the same damage as his other illus. The illu he makes with this is not an easy kill. It has like 2k health. So, not bad.
But how long is that going to be better than what items you can buy?
That's a question.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Weehaw hovering over this double damage room. Spell Prism is now on Zeus. That could be a big one.
Mind Control forcing in.
Mind Control. Oh, there's the Abyssal Blade. And a Stolen Soulbind used again. And 2 easy kills as Team Nigma crushing this fight. A buyback onto the Disruptor. But not even a remotely close fight here.
Singularity were not together. This is 44 minutes into the game, and they had, I think, Legion and Terrorblade were in the top lane, and the other 3 were together in the jungle. That gets punished. If you get caught out like that, you can't win this fight. It's a 5-on-3. This late in the game, no way. So, just a positioning error that is extremely costly here. Zeus will have to buy back as well. He's starting to do some damage here.
Disruptor ult on the backside on the Tinker, but there comes Ursa crushing
Tinker 1 HP. Oh my god, he's not dying.
2-for-0, make it 3-for-0 as Zitrax finally does get a kill, but at what cost? Miracle able to go back to the base. We'll be back shortly, no doubt, as Team Nigma still has the numbers. And Zitrax's metamorphosis will not last forever. Buyback now onto Vengeful
so important for Nigma there that Tinker doesn't die. If he dies, they actually can't even punish these 3 heroes being dead, probably. But now, the numbers advantage is probably a bit too overwhelming, and this should more than likely spell the end of the game. Unless Weehaw,
unless Weehaw does Weehaw thing.
Crazy shit, but it was good.
Terrorblade, but that'll be more than enough to take him out.
That's a good one.
The buyback is here for the Arcana Terrorblade, but he doesn't have meta, so yeah, not the greatest. Oh, my FPS, holy jeez. March on the Machines just destroys me, apparently.
Looks like the aggression from Weehaw in this game has gone from very reckless to way more controlled. I mean, this play, it looks crazy, but just the numbers advantage makes it almost, it can't really fail, right? He can jump in, he just uses his ulti whenever he feels threatened, and they get the job done that way.
Why did he just ult? I'm so confused.
I think he thought that was the real Terrorblade, because the illusion you make with the Illusionist cape does not show as a regular Terrorblade, I believe.
You know, that hero I have the biggest problem playing against. I can never tell what's real, what's not. Just like life. Looks like Nibis is placed down. So bind onto 2, a double silence, but here comes Miracle, and he does a shit ton of damage. Zeus getting off his ult.
Also takes some.
Yeah, he sure does.
I think Singularity are staying in the game here.
So maybe a mistake to try to go for Throne. They don't really have the greatest building hitters. Centaur actually is probably their best, along with Ursa.
Yeah, when he has stacks, he's good. But no stacks now. Yep, and Nigma get out. So Singularity still with a chance in this game. Losing one lane of Rax is not the end of the world, but they have to be playing as a unit now. You can't split up like they've done anymore. And I get Kuro. That's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That could be Roche, actually. That would be really big
Magic
for them.
Missile pierces spell immunity, by the way. I know that's the better pick this game specifically, but I would be way too tempted to get the old Ags, essentially.
Yeah.
GH. Ooh, he's... Hesta Joe and force out his blade now. Mind control. Oh, boy. Oh! Grimstroke completely decimated.
Really out of position.
And with that, the Roshan is now going to go to Team Nigma in all likelihood. Ursa can just clean this bad boy up.
I don't think they're going to let them have it. They have to fight here. Nimbus will be killed off.
Was swiftly taken care of.
Illusion.
Stampede is available in 5 seconds as well. Weehaw.
That's an Axe Storm. It's an Axe Storm.
That is pretty good. And Zidrak's able to pocket the BKB along with his Metamorphosis. And the Aegis will go to Mind Control along with the Roshan kill themselves as Zidrak's now on the run. So a disaster of sorts as GH duels Hesta Joe and wins. Oh man, that feels bad.
Classic.
Oh, goodness me. And Zitrax's meta is going to be running out shortly, so I think they can probably just finish the throne now, if they really want.
He needs to buy Refresher. Yep. Sell something. No, Terrorblade. He has to get it.
Oh, Terrorblade.
But he needs the courier. You can't buy Refresher in base anymore. You need to buy the...
That's rough. Yeah.
Components.
Well, this looks to be the end of game 1, most likely. Zitrax going to be dying right at the steps of this fountain. And the throne shall get destroyed. So Team Nigma able to take game 1. I would not say this was convincing. It was back and forth this game. They had a lot of trouble in certain segments of the game, but they were able to pull it out in the end.